Hello and welcome everybody. How's everybody doing tonight? Or this afternoon, I should say? So demure. I love it. Welcome to the Art of Slime Rancher panel. I'm Andrea Renee, and you may know me from many years of video games media, maybe a podcast, maybe just heard me talking about stuff on the internet that one time. I'm very excited to be here with the team from Monomi Park to talk about the creativity and collaboration behind one of the most beloved cozy games of all time, Slime Rancher and Slime Rancher 2. This is where whimsy and world building meet, and we're going to dive into the music, art, and sound behind these games and in this franchise. And I want to say hello to everybody watching on stream. Thank you so much for joining us. And everybody here at Gallery Nucleus in person. You guys excited to look at some cool art today? Yeah. I got a sneak peek, and there's some really fantastic pieces out there. So we're going to kick off our panel today by introducing the wonderful people who are here at the table with me. And Nick, let me have you go first.
Okay, hello. My name is Nick Popovich, and I'm hello. I'm one of the co-founders and CEO of Norma Martinez. I'm also it's by an echoing ghost. I'm also the director of the Slime Rancher series, and thank you very much for coming by today.
Yeah, and I'm Jenna Kemker. I'm a veteran in the industry, but I have been at Monomi Park for the last 2 years as art director.
Hi, I'm Norma Martinez. I'm the lead artist on Slime Rancher 2, focused on the environment art.
And with a soft, tender voice, my name is Harry, and I've been doing Slime Rancher music and sound for 10 years now, which is an awesome privilege. I love this game. I love this company.
Nick, I'd love to start the conversation today by taking it back to the beginning of the franchise and where the idea for this wonderful universe began. So I think maybe we can start with, like, where did the original slime come from?
That's a great question. There's a number of different for Slime Rancher kind of just popped into my head whole one day when I was walking to work. But a lot dearly loved times in games.
We're going to pause for 1 second to swap out your microphone.
Can everyone hear me now? Yes. What about now? Okay.
Maybe a little too quiet.
All right. Yeah, I always loved science in games. I grew up NES, Super Nintendo era. Played a lot of JRPGs. And thanks to Dragon Quest and whatnot, even in the Wizardry series, slimes were always the first thing that you fought. So in a lot of ways, they were the ambassadors to the experience that you were about to have. You started the game, you created your character, you jumped out in there, and then you just whacked on those poor little guys for a while. And they made you strong enough and confident enough to move on to the next thing. And I loved them dearly. I was always sort of sad when I had to move away from them, and so that I think that helped foster the love. There was a bug in the Elder Scrolls Oblivion where you could knock an arrow back and load a mundane object into it, and it would fire an infinite stream of them. And I liked to cause trouble in inns and blacksmith shops and then fill them with melons. And so a ball pit simulator seemed like a really cool idea for a game. And I think that chocolate and peanut butter kind of combined, and Slime Rancher hit me one day. Yeah.
chocolate peanut butter. Now I want like edible chocolate peanut butter slimes. Can we like make
We
that
had
happen?
those last we're eating slime donuts last night, and they were delicious. And again, they were the first things out, so they were the ambassadors to the experience that we had last night. Those little guys are they're working all the time. So
Harry, you've been with the team since the beginning as well, and you and Nick have worked together hand in hand on so much of the franchise. What has it been like from your side, working on music and sound, starting with like this like nugget of an idea from Nick, and then seeing where we are today?
It has been a journey. It has been a wonderful journey. It started with something simple, a smaller team doing something that we weren't quite sure what was going to happen. And now look at it. It is huge. It is a wonderful game. It's got a lot of bits and pieces and different bits of sound and music that surprise you and come in different parts of the environment. And it's been a journey that I've loved being on, and it has evolved from the first to the second one. Everything is bigger. Everything is much more beautiful. The environments you can get lost in, and you're happy to, because it's just so gorgeous to do so. And being able to do the music for that has been wonderful. And I've evolved it from the first one by just kind of letting myself take more time with the tracks and allow them to expand and fill in these new environments that are much bigger. So they deserve some more time with the music while you're in there.
yeah, for the second one in particular, what we found from going from the first one into the second one was that there was an awful lot of people that just like to spend time in the world, not doing any one particular thing. So it's even like down throttled from the typical Slime Rancher experience. And so we told Harry, like, make hours of music, and we'll have all these alternate ambient tracks and everything where it like kind of comes up and down. And that way it really encourages you to just sort of be in the moment. And I think it was really, really effective. It's really, really effective also at making a vinyl very difficult to put together, unless it costs $500 and it's a 18 vinyl set. But yeah, we're really proud of it.
But it makes for great like background music when you're working during the day, I have to say. There's some really fantastic playlist curation happening on the internet. Jenna, coming in as one of the newer team members, how did you approach your experience coming in once the art world was really established already and kind of figuring out where you were going to put your mark on it?
Yeah, absolutely. So as I said, I came in 2 years ago onto the project. Things had already been rolling along, but I came in as a fan. Like even back in 2016, the original Slime Rancher. If I may show you all something, I have a little.
Oh, yes, please.
So this was created before Slime Rancher had merged. I adored the first game so much that my brother, who also adored the game, he had a 3D printer and paint. And so
Oh my gosh.
and so these are what he created for me because he knew my love for the game was so strong. I needed to have a method. These are on my shelf always behind me in Zoom meetings. It's just to remind me like what I love about this property, and just a lot of art directors will come in and they want to leave their mark. And that's totally understandable, but I wanted to come in and just amplify what already existed. I'm so proud of everything that the team has done, and yeah, that's all I wanted, is just to keep making Slime Rancher even wigglier.
Those are the cutest little slimes ever. And I love that it has such a story and such a meaning. And what a great icebreaker when you're doing Zoom calls with somebody, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, we all got to get those. Can you get on that, Nick? Can you make everybody? Add it to the product list. Norma, you've been with the team for quite some time. Would love to talk about what you do with environmental art, which we'll dive more into specifics on in just a little bit, but kind of what your perspective on the team about creating these magical environments and to make them such a fun place to just hang out and listen to music in.
Yeah, absolutely. So I joined right at the start of Slime Rancher 2 when we were not super sure what it was going to be yet. This was like a huge task, and the world ended up bigger and bigger and bigger, and the audio was longer, but it was really fun to get to do like these little corners that I knew people would hopefully spend time in, and I don't know, just sit and listen to Harry's beautiful music and play with the slimes. And we had a lot of little corners that we didn't plan to do, but I was like, I have an extra half hour. I want to do this little cave over here. And such a big variety of like art and color palettes with Powderfall, which is all snow. That was so fun to do. It was like icy and dreamy. And then Starlight Strand with the split sky. All these zones were so exciting to make because they all have their own personality. Yeah, I really loved it.
And you told a fun story while we were doing prep for this panel about a cool kind of like hidden moment that you put in the game.
Oh, yeah. Do you have the slide for the...
I mean, if you want to wait and talk about that later, we can. I don't want to throw off the flow. You talked about the beautiful environment, and I was like, oh, maybe this is a good time to talk about this.
So I don't know how many of you guys have found this. It's like a slightly rare moment, but if you turn away from this like big grow room, the trees sometimes die. Well, but they come back. They come back, don't worry. And the thought behind that was like, well, what is the terrarium zone? And it's this electricity plant house where they're getting electricity from plants. You could see the pillars in the background. And this room just had like endless trees, and how are they growing, and like what weird magic. And it was kind of like they're instantaneously growing and then being zapped and then coming back, and just like weird stuff that we got to do.
Has anybody in the room found this in the game? Oh, look at that.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. And now everyone's going to go home and boot up and be like, I must find this thing in the game.
Just keep turning around, it'll happen.
No, but I love that those moments exist, right? It's part of the kind of like sparkle, the specialness of being able to kind of put like a personal touch on the worlds that you're crafting. And Nick, I would love to hear, like, was there a single like inspiration, like a lighthouse, any kind of guiding light that you're like, this is why the art style and the worlds look the way they do?
Yeah, I mean, partly the reason look the way they do is early on when I was responsible for art in the project, I couldn't animate, so it couldn't be cats. So we have this saying where like the slimes always look right even when they're wrong, and that means like if a slime gets stuck due to a bug or something in a tree upside down and it's still smiling, you look at it and you're like, yeah, that guy's still got it going on. He's got an agenda. Having this sort of messy quality to the world still had to work, for lack of a better way of putting it. But going in, and I think we kind of, for one, we did lower poly style because the physics and everything was really intense. But for two, crazy. And we made like a pastel first-person shooter, and I wanted to look completely unlike anything that was out there. I wanted it to be like Wind Waker was for its time, where it stuck out, and then 10 years later, it still looks good. And you give it, it can go on and on. It's kind of like a fresh experience for anyone who's never heard of it 15 or 20 years in the future who picks it up. That mechanically it's nice and smooth. It doesn't have a lot of like sort of in vogue ways of doing things. Like even the tutorialization, we try and strip everything down as much as possible. And hopefully no one else makes a pastel first-person shooter. But it remains to be seen. I don't think they will, though. No one's got the guts. So I'm calling you out, game industry. Try
certainly
me.
not like this. I mean, I think you can feel confident that you created a very unique, like, carve out in the video game, pantheon of all the games that exist. There's nothing else like Slime Rancher.
If I may just say something really quickly, we use an HDRP system, a high definition rendering pipeline, which is very unusual for a more cartoony sort of style. And so I feel like that's what makes it really special.
Yeah. There's we aim for a verisimilitude with Slime Rancher, even though it's pastel and it's about slimes and you have a vacuum gun. We want it to feel authentic to itself. And so using Unity's HDRP,
Yes, bring on the jargon.
It means basically light behaves like light. And that's really important. You're seeing something, you're seeing like a bizarre fuzzy bush and rainbow grass and all of that, but light is treated the way that you expect light to be treated. And historically, that's part of everything in Slime Rancher. Like we're gonna get geekier still, so strap in. The physics in it, they're like 1-to-1. We're not faking anything. So if you throw a slime in the air and it hits another slime midair, they bounce off of each other and go in different directions. Most games fake that. Physics for slimes would be like just sort of kind of making it look right. And that means it's extremely expensive to do, but there is verisimilitude. You interact with the world and with a slime, and it's true to how you expect it to behave. And for a little kid who's playing a video game, try being a parent and saying, you can't go down that hallway, even though the game's just arbitrarily stop you because you're not meant to go down that hallway. I understand that because I'm old and I've played a million video games, and I can tell that this door has no knob on it, and that's why kids don't get that. So we wanted Slime Rancher to feel authentic all the time. If they throw a basketball on the playground and it hits another ball, it reacts the same way as two slimes. So we try and have that in everything that we do.
That's fascinating. I did not know that. That's very cool. Norma, did that present challenges for the kind of environmental art that you guys were doing when you're like, oh, that sounds physics awesome?
We switched to that lighting system early on, but all the trees looked crazy. The light was going through the leaves now, which was really exciting, but it looked insane. So we had to redo some of the trees early on. But now you look up and like when the sun is setting and it's like beautiful pink sunset, the green leaves will have like pink on the edges, which I think is really pretty. And also all of our water reflections, which we really use to our advantage. We have a lot of vines that glow at night. And if there's a pond somewhere, sometimes we would make something that at night you'd see the reflection of the lights above and below and make a heart or something like that. So we have a few areas where we really took advantage of that and had a lot of fun with our fun lighting.
I never would have thought that, light would break leaves in that way. But this is part of like what development is, right? Is kind of understanding that, to progress and use the latest tech, that you kind of have to sometimes start over. Did you have any moments that really stood out? Was there like a specific item or kind of an iconic thing in the game that you guys really had to rework?
No, not rework that much. I mean, the trees had a little bit of reworking, and then the way we approached the skies, but we were just able to make them better. Like again, the split sky has all that wiggly two-tone, and then in Ember Valley, we have the swirling clouds, and that just looked way better with the upgraded lighting. And the lava was just glowing, and you could see it at a distance, and I think it really sold that over there is like that area that's warm and hazy. Something's going on. That's where the boom slimes are. It was great.
Yeah, and we also accentuated the realism of everything with the sound. So things are going to sound like they should sound. Like when you get near a sizzling piece of lava near water, you're going to hear the sizzle. Things are going to bounce. They're going to make normal sounds when they collide. But with a bit of a friendly, fun, cute vibe, because we want this to be an enjoyable experience for everyone.
I realized, Norma, that I didn't ask you what an environmental artist does, right? Or I guess like lead artist is like the technical title, but it's like, how would you explain it to somebody who has no idea how video game development works?
Yeah, so I went from environment artist to lead artist, and I just talked to everybody on the team. I talk to Harry all the time.
All the time.
I'm like, I put some drippies in these caves. Can you make them go drip, drip, drip? Or I'll talk to our designers, and they'll have laid out a path somewhere, and I'll say, I really love this path, but I want it to go like this way and then that way, so there's like a reveal when you turn the corner. And usually they're like, yeah, go for it. I'm like, thank you, so kind. Talk to the tech artists when, like the tree thing, for example, I didn't know how to set that up. I'm like, I want it to be weird. I want it to be like 2% mysterious. And our tech artists were like, oh yeah, I can do that. I can make it even better. And I was like, okay, great. So it's just talking to everybody and collaborating and making everything more interesting, more fun, more exciting.
I will say that's one thing about our team, speaking to the art team, is everyone is so collaborative and so excited to make the experience better for you all, just so hungry to like make it a little bit better. Just thinking about the players, okay, I'm gonna spend a little bit more time just to make it a bit better for you all.
Well, that's a huge part of your job, Jenna, is like kind of corralling all of those artists together on who are working on all these different components.
Yes, yeah, the job of an art director can be harsh because, yeah, you do have to keep sort of everybody in line, and sometimes people do go off on a tangent, and it's beautiful. It's so beautiful, but it's not. So sorry. Please come back over here. And that's the hard part of my job, but the best part of my job is when people come with those ideas and they just sing and they're beautiful and they go in.
Nick, have you ever had to put like the hard no on something that someone from the team's like, isn't this awesome? And you're like,
I think it's the other way around. I think over the years, I've been given the hard no on a number of things. But yeah, every once in a while, like Jenna was saying, we might want to take it just a little too far, and we can't. And Slime Rancher is kind of a unique project because you could always add more. An environment, not a mission. It's not near scripted tree or another zone or another whatever is not going to break it. Or slimes are not going to break it. So you have to kind of understand when enough is enough, but you always feel like it's never enough. That is definitely a game dev feel, is like it's never enough. You always feel like you could have done more, you could have added more. But the trick is you just tell Nick no and move on.
Harry, how has your experience been, or what are some of the things that you do to collaborate with the art team? And Norma explained that she talked to you a lot about, working on different parts of the franchise, but was there a part of the process that was particularly fun or exciting for you?
Okay, well, the best part that happened to me is being invited to the art meeting every week. Yes. And so I get to feel like an artist, but it's
feel like an artist, you and
okay, so I'm an artist, yes. I'm technically an artist, yes. But because I joined that meeting, yes, everyone shows off a little bit of what they've been doing for that week, and I get to see what they're doing as they're doing it. And it's like, oh, like, what do you think that should sound like? Because the person that knows best is the person that made it. So if it's a new gadget or a piece of environment and it's spinning, it's like, what did they think that should sound like? If it's a gadget, is that metal? Or is that brass? Is that wood? What was that? Oh, so it should sound like this. And that kind of collaboration is important between our disciplines. But my favorite part is when we have a new zone and I get to talk to Laura and she flies me through the zone and we get to say, okay, there's going to be a waterfall here, but behind here is like a shining pillar. And I really want it to be spooky. And like, okay, let's do that. So it might say that I'm the sound and music, but really it's everyone on the team that gets a hand into that pot, because I can't do it without them. And I would just be shooting blind without knowing what it should sound like. And we work together to make the sound music.
I do love being asked what something should sound like, because sometimes I'm like, I don't know. And then I just make sounds at Harry on a call,
Sure.
and he's like, okay, whatever you say.
And if you don't know, then I ask, what do you want the player to feel?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, I
Good
want to
questions.
spook them out. You always want to spit people out.
Yeah, that's what Nick says. No, he's like, you're going a little too spooky. I'm like, sorry, I'm sorry. I'll reel it back.
I was gonna say I do the same thing you do with sound effects with music, and it's way more embarrassing.
Yeah, it's always a little embarrassing.
Me playing guitar like with my mouth. But yeah, I guess since we're on the subject, has anyone yet outed Harry as the voice of the slimes, or maybe not? But yeah, all of the slime voices is Harry.
We have a demo?
Adjusting his voice.
You guys can clap for that.
Yeah.
So I think if you hear the people that did South Park, and they will say that, yeah, they do the voices. What they do is they pitch it up like 3 degrees so that they sound like kids. I don't have to pitch up too much to sound like a slime, but it's a bit more than that. So yeah, there's lots of yoo-hoos and yas and fun sounds, and I think that comes from Nick saying we want this to be friendly, but also a bit human. Is that right, Nick? Do you remember? You're like, you want them to sound a little bit alien, but it's still human when you hear them.
Yeah, definitely. It's unknown how much intelligence the slimes have or what capacity they have for speech. It ranges from they're stuck in a tree trying to still eat the thing on the ground to apparently Muppet Manning in a trench coat and buying and selling goods on the internet. So we really don't know, and I think that's the very best part of it.
Yeah, we had to explore that a bit because the first sounds we were like making some weird stuff. So I'm glad that we went this direction because they sound fun, they're friendly.
Well, it sounds like you've made yourself indispensable. You can't, no one else can do it now, right?
Woohoo, 10 years, another 10 years.
Have you guys ever gotten like audition tapes where people be like, I want to be the slime, hire me?
I would have shared that at the top of this had that ever happened. No, unfortunately not.
Not yet.
Does anybody here want to do a slime
Right?
voice?
Any slime impersonators in the audience? No, we can play that game later. Maybe. Jenna, I'd love to talk a little bit about some of the work that you did, not just around the team as you've talked about, and encouraging your teammates to do their best work, but you've worked on some of the art for the franchise as well, and you've worked on some of the 2D art and the concept art.
Yes, I have. So there's a few images if you want to. So for Quantum Art, I'm the one that did this key art, of course, with Nick guiding the way. And then the next slide.
So
And
cute.
Meowware. I'm not sure who knows Meowware, but I was the one that got to animate Meowware. And doing some icons, graphic design work. Really, I just want to help in absolutely any way that I can. We need icons, you got it. We need to get them in game. I'll learn how to do that. Let's just get stuff in, make things good, not above any sort of work.
I think also this Meowware is a great example of how we do things here, very wastefully. So we are not afraid to like die on the hill for a joke or devote a portion of our resources truly to this sort of completely unnecessary thing that does nothing, other than makes the experience a little weirder, a little bit more whimsical. So when we were tasked with we have to make a shop. Shops have been made in games. You don't want to innovate on the shop experience really because people know how to do that. That's why the original Slime Rancher was WASDA and mouse movement. Don't innovate on that, right? But what if the software that you're using for that was infected with Meowware, and there was just this completely benign cat that wanders around your screen? And so we went to great lengths to make that perfect. And I think that sort of you can see throughout everything that we do. There's what we need you to, what we present to you to get you through the experience, to have a good time, and then there's this fluff around it. And if you happen to bump up against it, great, but we just think it adds character. Maybe this is overthinking it or thinking it's grander than it is, but I think it's those sorts of things that in the 15 or 20-year scenario, when someone picks it up, they go, what a cool thing this is. Because yeah, it has a shop interface like they used to make 15 or 20 years ago, and then we were doing this other weird thing. So I want to do that with everything I do.
You remember.
Yeah, totally.
Looking back on your experiences, you're like, oh yeah, I remember Meowware. You might not remember every little piece, but you remember it.
That's what it's all about. That's why this community is so in love with this universe, right? It's those touches that stick with us as players that make us want to keep coming back and go, what's the next cool thing that I'm going to come across and discover? And that leads me to my next question for you, Norma, about talking about that emotional experience that you get to take players on through the work that you're doing on the game, and kind of how making those worlds and using specific color palettes and all of the textures that you want to use, it all lends itself towards a very specific experience that you're building.
Yeah, totally. I'm super excited to talk about Dreamland specifically.
It's my favorite.
I love all the zones I've worked on, just all of them. But when we got to the labyrinth, which was, it's so huge for the player, like players waited for it, but the artist also waited to work on it. We talked about it for years. And when we finally got to do it, it was like, what are we going to do here? And Dreamland was one of those that came really fast, and it was really weird. And I just wanted everything to be like soft purple. And then we came up with the Sloomber, and this shot was so fun to work on, where it's like the edge of Dreamland, and you're looking out onto these ruins and these clouds, which our tech artist Ed did, and amazing work. We have cloud waterfalls. That whole area was really fun to work with. I have a few. This is what the entrance looked like before. So a lot of the work that I do is, okay, this is the path that design has chosen, and how are we gonna go? So we have, yeah, it's just the text that says, entrance to Dreamland, here you go. I'm like, okay, we have a really cool arch. I want like the purple trees immediately outside and like the cool stairways, and it kind of turned into this with like all the purple vines like creeping up. We wanted it to be really elegant and just feel moodier than the other areas that are in the game, like way more elegant. People came here to sit and enjoy the flowers and maybe have tea with the Sloomber slimes, take a nap. So here's another before. We really wanted a cool lighthouse moment. Who doesn't love a lighthouse moment? And this is what it looked like after. So similar, but all those colors and lights really brought the emotion and the feeling together. So I loved working on this one.
Did you have a specific experience while working on this?
I mean,
with-
Dreamland? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's my favorite area. Well, personally, I love purple. It's my favorite color. And everywhere you look there is purple. But it's also the home of everyone's favorite slime, obviously, the Sloomber. So
Is that right? Everyone's favorite?
it better be. I mean, unless it's tabby, that's fine. Yeah, so it's purpley, it's dreamy, and you have these sleepy slimes. So of course the music has to be kind of like some harps and lots of arpeggios and kind of lulls you into sleep. I love that area. You guys did a good job.
Me too.
Oh, thanks.
Was there part of your process in doing both the composition and sound design that worked alongside what the art team was doing in terms of exploration, or was it something where the art team would bring it to you first and then you would just work off the kind of framework of exploration that they had already kind of laid the foundation for?
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a leapfrog. Like, design has the concept of what they want from an area. I think what they want the players to get into feel. Is this like a danger zone? Is it exciting? Is this relaxing? And then they will talk to the art team, and the art team's gonna lay out some prototypey bits that's not fleshed out yet, as you just saw. And it's around this time that I'm involved in the process, because music composition takes a bit of time. So I have a good idea of what design wants and what art is going to do. And as I'm making that track, every week they're giving me check-ins, and I can see that, oh wow, like, so this area is going to look like this now. And so I'll add a little bit here and there to the music and the sound, and that kind of leapfrogging comes to what we get at the end, which I think really works out.
And at some point, I jump in and say, add more violins, and I do that 3 more times.
Every track.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna ask. I mean, as a creative director, like how much do you insert, what you want in your vision versus like what the team is already built and kind of the vibe that they're feeling? Like, what's the kind of like, back and forth there?
I mean, I think Harry would agree. I actually have a pretty big role in like the creation of the music, especially in the first game. There was a very specific sound I was going for. It was supposed to be like French country music and everything. I didn't want it to sound like an Old West, kind of thing, even though it presents itself like that. But yeah, I normally have an idea of like what it should sound like. I would say like towards the end of Slime Rancher 2's development, I had the delight of like being surprised by some of these compositions, which was great. But one of the reasons I love working with Harry so much is he could take a non-understanding of music and I translate it into what I am kind of going for, and even though it sounded like I was joking, I'm always pushing him for more strings. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you're sick of it at this point, but I always want more of that. This sounds overly dramatic, but I always feel like the violin is the closest that humans have achieved to capturing what our souls feel like. And there's like a yearning to it and a beauty to it that that's why I want to mash it in every single composition.
All violins all the time.
Yeah, it's because Slime Rancher always has this sort of undercurrent of sadness to it. I think that's really important. It should not sound or look sanitized. I was talking about this earlier, that it needs to have some rough edges to it for people's kind of feelings to stick to. Otherwise, it's just this polished chrome marble that, kind of roll of it. We're getting now with the metaphors, but anyway, love working with Harry.
But when Nick said make it French, to you that meant a different instrument.
Definitely violins. You have to throw that in, or else Nick's going to fire you. But I really enjoyed in the first one adding in an accordion into every single track, and it's kind of like it's a fake accordion. It's not like I'm not playing an accordion here. But
accordions don't get enough love.
I know, that's absolutely true. So that's, I hope, along with some of the way that I compose the major sevens. That I hope this gets across the French vibe, but of course he wants strings and everything. So I love adding strings, absolutely, especially because my wife plays the cello, so I try to get a cello into those tracks too.
Jenna, do you have a favorite sound of the game? Like, is there like an area that's your favorite?
I actually have a favorite song, and it's a little unusual. It's When You're Attacked by the Cars. I know, let me explain.
No one likes that song.
Please do.
Like seeing all the murder.
No, I just think that it's such a brilliant song because it can so easily become very scary, and that's not the vibe we want. We're trying to avoid that actively, and it's so beautiful in its own way. I think that was a masterful piece.
Oh, I appreciate that. I think you're the only person in this room that will say that, though. I think most people here are like, oh, not the tar music. Like, that's interrupting the track, and it means something bad's happening. But I appreciate that. Thank you.
The fear still comes when I hear it, but it's beautiful. So.
Just watching your slimes get eaten, like, yes, my favorite song.
Her second favorite sound is the sound of slimes being eaten.
Don't spoil all this.
Tell me more. Maybe don't. Maybe we can save that for later. Harry, I would like to talk a little bit about the design component. We have been talking about some of the techniques and things that you used in working with the art team. But in addition to composition, I think it's important to explain to people what it means to do sound design and kind of how that fits in with all the other music work that you do on the franchise.
Okay. Well, I will talk about maybe how it evolved from 1 to 2. It's been 10 years. So if you keep doing something for 10 years, you're going to get better at it naturally. And what I am talking about in particular is the fact that I kind of moved from composing with a mouse, putting a note in a score one at a time, which is a very laborious process, but it slowed it down for me to be able to process as I'm composing what I'm composing. It's a meticulous process and it takes a long time. But I grew up with the piano, so it's like, why am I not playing the piano? It's like, well, I'm not ready for it. Going into Slime Rancher 2, the design was, okay, so we're moving away from the French rustic We're moving into something that's more mysterious and something that's more beautiful and more curious, but also it needs to evolve from, it's a sequel, so it has to be bigger. And think that, as I said, my wife plays the cello, we've been playing together, and I play the piano, and that's been really getting me back into loving the piano again and playing. So each of the tracks in 2 now has a more natural sound because I'm actually playing the piano when you hear it, and also some of the melodies which I can translate into different instruments and that. And it's been a wonderful process for me.
I think it's a great time to look at that process in a little bit more detail.
Okay.
So we have a fun video to show everybody that Harry is going to walk us through, a little bit of a gameplay moment. But before we put it up on screen, I do want to note that this is from a part of the end game of Slime Rancher 2. So this is your official spoiler warning. If you're here in the audience, I guess maybe just cover your eyes and close your ears or go to the bathroom, I don't know. And if you're on stream, maybe just mute it or skip ahead. Just so you know, if you don't want to, I assume everyone's probably played through this part already if you're here, but just in case. Spoiler warning, you've been warned. All right.
Let's see, we have the video here. Okay, so yeah, spoiler alert. So we are going to be talking about some end game stuff. And if you haven't gotten there, like, yeah, please, apologies for that, but we're going to be focusing on the audio side of it, the music and the sound. But we are going to be talking about skipping over the story elements, but you're going to see some stuff. Okay, so this is, oh, do you hear that? What's that? The secret music design of, spoiler alert, you can get rid of that part. Slime Rancher. So I was hearing a bit of the Pronto-Mart music being sung by some cats. Why, it's my cat. That's a good kitten. And
Spoiler.
Banshee. Yeah, so the Pronto-Mart, actually, there is a version of the Pronto-Mart, as we were saying, that everyone's favorite, Sebastian. That is just sung by my cats. And if you click on the Pronto-Mart kitty, they'll also make meows of my cats. Just wanted to give a shout out to my cats. I would not be here if it wasn't for them. So we're going to talk 10 minutes about my cats, if that's okay. No, I'm just joking. Okay.
Listen, I love cats. Let's just make the whole rest of the panel about cats. I'm in.
Thanks. No, this is actually, so we're going to be walking through the end game process of the secret stuff that Nick approached me with. And basically what happens is every 2 years when I'm talking to Nick, we're going to talk about Chrono Cross. It just comes up. Chrono Cross is kind of the spiritual successor to Chrono Trigger, as the second one. And they do something really interesting for their end game with the music. And you know, it's been enamored in our conversations every single time that we meet because it sticks with us. So we wanted to do something interesting with the audio at the end game. It's not as responsive as Chrono Cross. You don't need to be doing what's going on with that. Spoiler for that game. So let's see what's happening here. So we are in the labyrinth. This is the waterworks. And say hi to Gigi. You can hear the waterworks music. And there's a secret door here. Okay. And oh, what happened to the music? Okay, so everything is silent, and that's mysterious. And Norma, great job. This is such a beautiful place. It's so fun. So what's going on? What happens to the music? And there's a big bell here, and it rings out the tone. And now, whenever you go back into this environment, you're going to hear this tone. And for the musicians here, it's a C. And whenever you see a bell, you have to hit it like 30 times. It's just, you have to. And you can hear it's still ringing out. And you pop back outside, and you hear the waterworks music comes back in. Okay, so what does this mean? Well, you get to the core, the prisoner core, and I'm skipping ahead. And now you're in this environment, and one of the things Nick said is he wants these bells to affect this area. So we have this waterworks, and it has this kind of discordant music. When we get near this device, it's literally piping in that C into the environment. Okay, now we move on to the lava bits. And we have something similar here. We get through, and you're ringing this one. It's a different tone. And this is an E flat. And you get back into the chord, and now this is lit up. So now we have the waterworks and the lava depths that are lit up, and now we're ringing in those two notes. Oh, gosh. Sorry, just have to pause for a second. Dreamlands. Thank you. Beautiful place. This is our third bell. We get in here. It's a different tone. Okay, so now we have a C. Okay, yes. Whenever you see a bell, hit it 30 times. You just can't help it. Oh, and the way it jingles and moves around, big thanks to Ed, Tech Art team. Beautiful work. So fun doing that. Okay, so now we have a Dreamlands. And that lit up. Our new environment, the terrarium. It is such a fun to be around with our new slides, the hyper slides. They're so fun. There's a frenzy of fun. And what's this mysterious water flowing upwards? That's a 10% spooky.
I'm never gonna not be able to see your face now when I hear the slime.
Oh,
It's gonna be me.
okay, so the tone is another tone. This is keeping a note of B flat. And whenever you go back into this room, it will ring out that note. It is now being piped into this environment. And now we're starting to layer some into the music. Okay, lastly, the hub, a high D, another perfect D, slightly detuned there. Okay, now we have them all lit up. Okay, take a listen. Okay, now it all comes down to this. That's literally the title of this track. So on this CD, on the soundtrack, we have Prisma, Discordant. And then it all comes down to this. And that's because these 5 bells that we have just been layering up to, let's just take a listen and see if you recognize it.
Get it a little louder.
Yeah, well, I'll sing it to you. It basically goes dun, 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 dun. Okay, so you're thinking, great. So you added like the first 5 notes into this track. Big deal. Okay, so what I try to do is make a song that when you listen to it, just sounds like a normal song until you know the secret behind it. This is a song that is composed entirely of those 5 notes and exclusively with those 5 notes, no other notes. So no accidentals. I allow myself the octaves because now you can at least have a bigger range. But the entire song only has those 5 notes. Take a listen. And you'll hear those 5 notes in the environment as well. Whenever you defeat a target. And it doesn't matter when you do it, because it's going to ring out any of those notes at any point in your song. All those background horns and strings, they're only using those 5 notes. Which may sound more aggressive than it is, because you can get a lot done with 5 notes, especially the way that you know. So you have the E flat G, and that is the C minor chord. You have E flat, G, B flat, that's an E flat major chord. Then you go up to a G, B flat D, that's a G minor chord. And then you get up to the B flat D, you can't use an F. So I dance around that F, I imply it to sort of get to this B flat major chord, and that's a fun moment. Now, I'm not gonna, story, something happens. Let's get to the next resolution moment. Keep in mind those 5 notes. This is such a gorgeous moment. Take a listen. Okay, so those were those 5 notes again. And now this entire environment is harmonized. And you can do that by just taking that low C, pop it up an octave, and now instead of a C minor kind of discordant area, you have the relative major, E flat major, 6, 7. And this entire song here is also composed of those 5 notes because now we have harmonized the chord. So that's the secret music design behind the Slime Rancher 2.
Did you give yourself hard mode just for funsies?
I gave myself a day to see if I could do it because I was going to assume that
Just a day.
well, just to concept it out, to see
That's
if it would be
incredible.
something that I can do. No, I didn't make it in a day. I'm saying that I wanted to see if I can make a song that is it possible to do a song with just 5 notes without just driving you insane. I passed it through Nick and he's like, go with it. This is amazing. I'm so glad that you can do it. Let's just see how it turns out. And I think it turned out really well.
What an incredible story. Secret music. Such an awesome thing to discover for players to find. Has anybody like reached out and been like, I know what your secret?
No, not yet. But maybe now some YouTuber can do a better job than I just did to explain it.
Thank you so much, Harry, for that demonstration and
My
for
pleasure.
showing us this really cool part of the game. So no more spoilers, everybody. If you were pausing, we can lift that spoiler alert now. I do want to talk about some of the fantastic physical art pieces that we have. We, of course, are here at Gallery Nucleus. There's so many wonderful pieces of art that I'm excited for everybody here to go and discover and enjoy. And there's 2 of those pieces on the table. And we are going to hear from Jenna and Norma about their pieces. But before we dive into the specific pieces that are on the table, I would like to talk about your involvement in working with the gallery and kind of going to the team at Monomi Park and saying, hey, we have this really amazing opportunity to show the art that we've been working on for this series to our fans, to people who play the game. So what do we pick? Where do we start?
Can I just say that when I first heard that we might be showing at Gallery Nucleus, I lost my mind. I can't believe we were able to show here. It's such an honor to be here in front of you all. I thank you all so much for coming. But yeah, curating the pieces. I can talk a little bit about our upstairs. The chance to go upstairs. It's all of our concept art, our marketing artwork. I should say a selection. We're coming up on 10 years for Slime Rancher. It would be crazy if we included all of the concept art. But we tried to tell the story from beginning to end. We have the very first, actually, Vivian, if you wouldn't mind pulling up the image of the slime.
Yes, Norma.
Is this like the very first ones? Oh, yeah.
Yes. So yes, this is, the one on the left is featured upstairs, but the one on the right is a very special one.
Yeah, the one on the left is Ian drew some slimes very early on. The original Slime Rancher prototype.
Ian is.
I'm sorry. The Ian, doesn't everyone know?
Yeah.
Ian
He's no
McConville
introduction.
is a very dear friend of mine and our principal artist at the studio. And I've like every game that I've ever shipped, I worked on with him. And he's just as much a part of all of this as I am. So early on, it was just green, pink, blue. That was the original prototype that we passed around to friends and family. And then it like got on the internet, and it was really neat. It felt like Doom shareware all over again because people were passing around the demo. It was so small, they were passing it around in email. That was really neat. But that was the first slimes that we had. It was just for the prototype. What's on the right is actually the dry erase board that I had in my apartment when we were mapping out the game. And we pretty well executed on a lot of these. Some of came later in 2. But yeah, we had this idea of like basically, 4 tiers of slimes throughout and a bunch of other random ideas. That whiteboard like served as the initial design for all of Slime Rancher, including a bunch of other ideas that we were batting around for games that we decided not to do. We did this really boring thing where we like mapped out the risks of all the different ideas that I had and eventually landed on Slime Rancher. So
But necessary, right?
yeah, I guess so. Grape slime is my favorite. We never did it for very good reasons. Slime Rancher used to, before we shipped it in the earliest days, it was a lot darker. I had like a very sort of grimmer sci-fi tone to it all. The 7Z Corporation was like horrible future capitalism that we're sort of working under, and new bucks were meant to be like is it script, the miner money, like your the money that you're earning is only useful at the company store, and so stuff like the grave slime fit into that. It's a bad thing that it did unintentionally was sent Bia to the afterlife, and you would encounter one of these little guys, and it would like, we'd never made this. This is me waving my hands at Mike, going like, it'd be cool if we did this.
Everyone's like, no, Nick,
Yeah,
no.
yeah. And it would like quickly stare into your soul, and then the color would just drain from the world, and all the slimes would disappear other than grave slimes. And you had to quickly find a portal that we would randomly spawn out, or else you would forever be entombed within the underworld. It got happier after that, and we focused on other ones and never did the grave slime. But yeah, it was definitely darker early on. I really liked that movie Moon with Sam Rockwell, and so there was this concept where the death system and all of that, it is as it was then, but I really wanted that wherever you died, we saved that point. And if when you spawned back at your house, if you ran really fast and got back to that point, you would see a little pile of ash blow away in the wind. Because the idea was horrible. They were just incinerating Bia and like creating another worker. Keep working. I see all your faces, and I know that we should have
No,
done.
they love it. They want it.
Yeah.
They want it right now.
Yeah. And then I think like, you're working on the thing, and there's pieces of it that are just making you smile repeatedly, and that starts to take priority. But going back to what I was saying earlier, like we didn't sanitize the whole thing. There's still complex emotions in the story, and sort of bigger ideas, and obviously the slimes could turn into horrible monsters if you do the wrong thing. So mission accomplished.
Wow. Think of what Slime Rancher could have become, everybody. Before we talk about these pieces, I do want to let everybody know we are going to be doing a Q&A here in the gallery. So if you have some questions percolating, I will let you know when we'll kick that off and you can line up. But just so you can start thinking about it now, let's talk about these pieces of art that have been on the table this whole time that are just phenomenal. Norma, let's start with you and your fantastic calendar that you made.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, this is one of my pieces that I made for the show. It's very inspired by my culture. I've always had a big interest in like Aztec historical architecture and all of that stuff. I think all of their sculptures are really beautiful. So it's in all the art I do in some weird way because it's in me. The labyrinth is not inspired by Aztec architecture, but I built a lot of these things, and I'm sure some of it snuck in. And I always had this idea of what would Slime Rancher look like if it was an Aztec civilization, or in an Aztec civilization. And when we got to do this show, at first I had, I don't know if you have the slides. Yeah, my first little doodle at the top, I was like, I don't want to make it too leaned into that. I still want it to be Slime Rancher. And then we got the encouragement from Nick and from the art team, like, no, just do what you want. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna do what I want. And I came up with the little doodle on the right, where I have the tar on the sides, which is really similar to what is on the actual Aztec calendar, these little faces on the side, and then simplified. So that's where I started with these drawings. This is my really beautiful block out in 3D, it's so cool.
Love
It looks like a cookie. I would eat that.
And then Here's
Those
where I
look like
went
delicious
crazy,
cookies.
guys. I was like, what if he was sticking his tongue out? Like, so everybody liked it. And I added, and also the chicken. The chicken was like, we have to put the chicken in there, and he's got to look weird. And then I realized that if I put the chicken on the top, it looked really weird to have him upside down. I was like, we'll put something else up there. So some fun shapes. And here's the final sculpt in 3D. So I did make it in 3D first. And a lot of thoughts on if I should do it all physical or 3D. I thought it would be really cool to do it in 3D and then to make it physical, sort of as like it came from the game and now it's in real world. So I 3D printed it, but I didn't want it to be plastic. Also, this is my little baby bunny Bibble. He's so cute. He tried to eat it, so he approved though. He was like, this is great, good job, Mom. And I was like, thank you, Bibble. So it came out, the print came out. It was really crunchy because 3D printing is terrible, but I took it from here and I sanded it for, you guys don't want to know how long. My hand was like a claw, but then I pet the bunny and it was good. But lots of sanding, lots of priming, and then I did the mold. So I wanted it to be cast in stone, like a physical material. So I did a silicone mold with a bunch of weird stuff I had in my house. It was really scary. And it was
I
like,
appreciate the fun you had with the PowerPoint. That's nice.
always.
That is a tiny preview of what our art reviews look
They
like.
have to deal with this.
Yeah, if you thought Blingy is dead, it survived in Monomi Park's art team.
Glittergifts.com. I don't know what it is. That's like my pinned website. Anytime I send something, it has to have like a glitter gift.
It's bad. They're not joking.
I'm not joking. And then he was fully submerged, and I was like, look at him, he's gonna become something else. I thought that was really funny. You could still kind of see him. But yeah, the mold came out great, and then I cast it in Hydrostone, which is a really lightweight but super durable material. I didn't want to do cement, but Hydrostone, it came out perfect. I was really excited. I thought it was gonna break. It did not. And then the messy painting, I had ideas to make it look like jade and gold, but I ended up doing stone because the gray labyrinth is gray stone. That picture on the right is really funny. I was trying to get the dark, anyway. And I really wanted moss because I love putting vines and moss in Slime Rancher, so I added all the moss to it, and that's how it turned out.
I mean, I think it turned out pretty great.
Thank you.
Jenna, this is a very colorful piece.
It is. Yeah. So my slides are not going to be as fun as
I should have passed you some gifts.
I
My bad.
Yes. Yes. So it's very unusual, obviously. As Norma said, we were encouraged to do something unique and strange. And if you tell me to go unique and strange, I'm going to go all in. I love strange. And so I just love Slime Rancher. It's so wholesome. And what better way to celebrate that than with something so tactile and soft and lovely. And so,
Will you spin it?
yeah, so it's double-sided. So I guess while I spin it, I can explain kind of what it is. So let me start with the tar side. So I guess it's kind of representative of the world right now and kind of the horrible bile that's being like vomited out constantly. And then you have Slime Rancher, you have this lovely team that's like bringing positivity and joy and just like, yeah.
Fun vomit.
It's still barf.
Still barf, of course, because you gotta have a little weirdness. So yes, it's double-sided, kind of the duality, I guess, of the world and the respite that Slime Rancher can kind of bring. And so, Sumi, if you wouldn't mind loaning them. These were my first sketches. I was inspired by a Polish artist that I love very much. He does more kind of, much more horror-based things. I love finding inspiration in unusual places. I love horror games. I love everything horror. I love everything cute. And so obviously I have to incorporate that into my piece. And so once again, it's inspired by one of my favorite Polish artists who was depicting war, which was kind of this side. And then I added my own spin by making the positivity. And so the creation of this, I've been crocheting since I was a little girl. And so I thought that would be like the best way to honor slime rancher. I adore it so much, like obviously. So I wanted to do something big and shiny. And so I've never taken on a project of this size. And so creating all of the patterns from scratch, like obviously you can't just go on Etsy and be like, vomiting slime pattern for crochet. And so it was very much trial and error. It was undoing, redoing. You can see this guy over here is the first prototype of this guy. Just my plastic bag prototype. It's literally plastic bag stuffed in a plastic bag with a little smile on it. And then in the upper left were my sizing tests. Getting those just right were tricky. I have so many written patterns for like varying sizes of these guys. And you can see a very failed experiment for slime in the bottom. That's a football. It was supposed to be a slime. Did not turn out, so we had a lot of those. But then, oh my gosh, as I said, it's a very big piece. There are moments where you're not sure what you got yourself into. Like, why did I sign up for this? What have I done? Is this going to turn out? This is horrible. And so, just as a creative, all along the way, whether it's illustration, whether it's a full game, there's moments where you do start to doubt yourself. Like, is this really going to turn out? What have I signed up for? What am I doing? And you just have to believe in the process, keep pushing forward. Yeah, this is the result.
Then art happens. Before we start the Q&A, Nick, I wondered if you could tell everyone about this piece of art.
Yes. So this is what I did. We were incredibly privileged. Our publishing director, Sakura, has connections, and we were able to get Yusuke Nara to make a Slime Rancher piece that we're using as the alternate cover for the physical version that'll be coming out. And so you can put this over top of the game and treat that as the cover. But it was incredible. This is a signed copy of it. He's obviously done a ton of work for things like fantasy, and I was to find whatever excuse possible to get him to collaborate with us. And, he's incredibly kind and talented, and it was a wonderful project. Slime Rancher has very undeservedly allowed me to have these very particular experiences that I'll never forget. This is definitely, and I have all of you to thank for that. So thank you so much for supporting us and allowing me to keep like being a kid perpetually. I'm sure there's no ramifications for that whatsoever, but I'll take it.
And this is where I tell the important info that if you pre-order the physical version of the game, we have those physical sleeves here, and you can get them signed here if you pre-order the game, which is going to be shipping January 14th, 2026, the physical edition. So that is a very cool thing that is a special thing for everybody here at the gallery with us. Well, this has been a fantastic conversation, and now we want to invite you guys to be part of that conversation. So we have time for some Q&A. If you do have a question, we ask that you come over to this side of the room where we have a microphone, so you can do that now if you are interested. And I'm going to kick off the Q&A while people get up if they want a question with something that came in from the online community, which you knew this question was coming. What are y'all's favorite slimes? Harry, we'll start with you.
Okay, so everyone loves the Sloomber, but my secret love is the tabby because I was able to get my cat to purr into a microphone. And so whenever a tabby picks up something it can't eat and just wants to play with it, there's a chance that it purrs. And so now my cat is immortalized into this moment, and it brings joy every time I see it. So, tabby.
Fantastic. And please do keep the noise down if you don't mind while we're finishing up. I appreciate you guys. I want to make sure everyone can hear. Norma, who's your favorite?
I have an obvious answer too. It's the cotton slime because I have two bunnies. They don't make any noise though. I wish they did so Harry could put them in the game. I force them to. But yeah, the cotton slime is just so perfect. It's also, I feel like, the first slime you encounter in 2, the first new one. And it's just so adorable. And it's in the field of flowers. What more can you want?
Jenna?
Tabby slime, of course. Wind up and boot. Like, how can you not love that? Getting booped by a slime.
I mean, how do you pick your favorite of all your children? Right?
It's easy. I love ringtails because they're jerks. Like they were definitely designed to trick the player and have a somewhat bad experience, maybe, but something that they'll learn from.
I'm sensing a theme here.
Yeah. It's like we made this like really pleasant, cutesy game, and I'm struggling to like make something bad in it, I guess. But no, I think they're awesome. I love characters that are kind of like rascals, and I love seeing players take those statues back to their ranch and saying, "What a wonderful decoration!" So.
I love that. All right, our first question. Oh, and please say your name.
Hello. Hi, my name is Juno. And I mean, Slime Rancher 2 was a great experience. And I just wanted to know, how do you guys just come up with, I guess like the different concepts, like, oh, let's have like an anglerfish slime or like an egg slime, because I remember playing the game and being like, why is there a cracked egg on the ground?
So the question is, how do we come up with various concepts for slimes? It's fairly organic. In the case of like the Yoki slime, we already had that shape, and kind of going back to what I was saying earlier about like we'll die on the hill for a joke. If something's ridiculous enough, like we have to kind of go for it. When it's more like the meat and potatoes of Slime Rancher works with slime trinities, where it's like meat eater, fruit eater, veggie eater. When we're coming up with those for each part of the game, you just try and come up with some ideas that are a little less expected. So like an anglerfish could have easily been some other predator, but and we wanted to have this weird little mud skipper and stuff like that. So it's trying to just make something pleasant, but also just unexpected enough. Like the baddie slime, probably people thought would be a meat eater, and it's a fruit eater, and that sort of thing.
Thank you for your question.
Hi, I'm Kirsten. My question's a little spoilery.
Oh, absolutely.
I guess, yeah. Now we've said it's a spoiler alert now.
You've made it this far. I mean, you could have finished the game by now.
Nick's into it, so.
Will PG again?
That's a great question. I don't know. We like into the future, sure. Gigi's just a part of Slime Rancher now, as any of the other characters. As far as her story is concerned for SR2, we wanted it to kind of feel like there was some finality to it. She ends it like a Western. She walks off into the sunset, basically, and that's very deliberate. When you see that sort of ending in a Western, you say that hero is going to have other journeys, and maybe I'll see them, maybe I won't, but that was the sort of ending that we were going for. But I love her dearly, and I will absolutely put her in something if I can. Yeah.
Thank you for your question.
Hi, my name is Christian. I just wanted to say first, whoever runs your TikTok account, they're doing great. Like I've been watching their posts. They made such like really funny. Anyways, do we have any hope of add quantum times ever again?
Probably not. It's tough. So we made a bunch of slimes in Slime Rancher 1 that were incredibly hard problems to solve. And it doesn't seem that way, but like the rad slime presents a very, very tricky problem with what it needs to do to convey what it's doing. The quantum, oh my God, that was like a whole separate game's worth of logic just to make that work. So the quantum was with Gigi and walked off into the sunset. But yeah, I would love to reintroduce those slimes, but they would probably be tweaked to work with some of the design principles that we now have for SR2 versus 1.
Thank you for your question. And we probably only have time for 2 more questions. Sorry, everybody, but they will be around. We have the panel signing and everything else, so.
Hi, my name is Axel. This is also getting into a little bit of spoilery territory. Obviously, when you get into the beautiful gray labyrinth, you start to experience more of these centralized disruptions caused by the prismaphore, the glowing, the levitating, the big disruption events. How did you sort of design what those were going to look like and feel like and sound like?
We were just talking about that. It's part of the inspiration for it. Norma, you could probably answer that.
Yeah. Early on, one of the designers, Mike D, and I were geeking out about the movie Annihilation. And it really shows in early Slime Rancher and later Slime Rancher because we ended up having a book club. And I was like, we should read Annihilation. And I think the Prismacore has a lot of that idea of like this neutral beauty, destruction. We don't want it to be like evil or anything. It's just happening. It's just doing what it does naturally, and also didn't want it to look super in your face annoying when there's like a thing happening, and a lot of balancing on that. But yeah, Annihilation inspired a lot of the weirdness in the labyrinth.
Yeah, we wanted to have the music for that not be like tar danger, like scary boss battle, like adrenaline. It's a little bit more interesting and it's a little bit exciting, but it's something that is like it's an interesting event. It's not a bad event. It's not a danger. It's not you did something wrong. It's just something interesting is happening.
Yeah, Slime Rancher has it has no real villains. And if they are, they'll be human. It's important that we have humans effectively kind of somewhat colonizing this planet of sentient life. If that life presented opposition such that the player would feel compelled to destroy it, it tells a far too conventional tale where humans are in the right and they need to wipe out what's here in order to achieve their goals. Everything in Slime Rancher is just doing its nature. When a rock slime rolls into you, it's trying to have fun. It just doesn't know it's pokey because its buddies are slimes. And so even the Prismacore is just, it's a force of nature. It has no intent. Yeah.
Thank you for your question. And this will be our final question.
My name is Astrid, and I was wondering what's your least favorite slime? Like, it could be either like the design or like the gameplay aspect or just the thought of the slime.
I'll take that one first, and I'll say it's the meteor slime that we never released because I never hear the end of it. So,
What was the question?
least favorite slime.
Favorite
Sorry,
slime?
not to repeat the question.
Like a gameplay perspective or some other reason this little slime just is not your thing.
Oh,
It's all of them because you like the tar music and you like it when slimes die.
pick my secrets. Oh my gosh, that's really hard. I guess rock or crystal because they always hit me every time I walk past.
I'll pick Ringtail just to like side-eye Nick. That's my least favorite. Is it your favorite?
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Norma will be.
I won't say it's my least favorite, but one of the harder ones audio-wise was the Saber Slime. In 2, they're now roaring. It's just a new mechanic that they do to kind of like agitate slimes around them. And it's like, how do you make this saber like sound interesting? It's roaring, So I tried it, and they just roar so much. Like you walk by them, and they're just screaming at you all the time. And it's like, is this fun? Is this interesting? Let's lower the chance of that happening. It was a kerfluffle trying to get them to sound okay.
And I got the green light for just one extra question.
Can I also say I'll just hang around after the signing if anyone has any additional questions.
This question has actually been bothering me for like 3 days.
No.
What's your name?
August. And I was curious to know, what is Bob? Because I know he's a cluster of slimes. I just don't know what.
Wait. Bob is a cluster of slimes?
What are you talking about?
Thought he was a guy.
Huh?
It's Bob.
It's clearly a gentleman in a trench coat, right?
He's a scientist assistant.
Nick.
Yeah. Bob it's someone who, growing up, I watched the Muppets, and there was this concept called Muppet Man, where the Muppets would go incognito and stack themselves up inside a giant trench coat in order to get places they shouldn't be able to go to. And no one ever could tell, and I loved that. So Bob is a bunch of slimes that are Muppet Manning in a trench coat, and all of the gibberish that he speaks is because slimes are face rolling on a keyboard to talk to you. So, yeah.
That is incredible. Wow. Also, replicated in Muppet Babies. If you watch Muppet Babies, they do the trench coat bit there too.
Oh, yeah, it's precious.
Thank you so much for your question.
Thank you.
Do you understand what Bob is now? It's okay to say no, because I think most of us are still a little confused.
Not really.
Nick will explain it more later. Thank you so much for your question. And thank you so much for everybody for joining us here today. This has been a fantastic conversation. To all of our panelists, Harry, Norma, Jenna, and Nick, thank you so much for sharing your insights and your stories and your art and music. And I love getting this kind of inside peek behind this incredible universe, and I'm sure everybody watching and at the gallery has as well. I do want to remind people, if you are watching online, if you're here, I think we have a slide for this, for the pre-order for the physical edition, for the artwork that Nick showed you. If you are online, you can go to iam8bit.com, which has celebrated their 20th anniversary, so we love iam8bit. You can pre-order physical edition there, or you can also do it here in person at the gallery if you're joining us. And the other thing I also wanted to mention was where you can connect with the Monomi Park team. Thanks for the call out for the TikTok. Glad you guys are enjoying the content there. And these are all the other places online where you can connect with the community and share funny glitter gifts. Now I'm never going to forget that. I'm at the bookmark that site for myself. Thanks, Norma, for that one. And thank you so much to everybody for joining us, the entire staff at Gallery Nucleus for having this fantastic event with the team, and the Popo guys for providing the refreshments. And we hope you guys enjoy the exhibit. Oh, yes, the stage is yours.
Yes, check. Look. All right, guys. Hi. How's it going?